How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to Monday Night Sports. I'm Cameron Evig.
And I'm Ella Fredrikson, back as always to keep you updated on everything going on in Ram sports as we start to reach the end of the winter season. From a rematch with Mountain West champion Boise State for CSU Hoops on Senior Day,
to sticking on the hardwood for an exclusive interview from Madeline with a guy who's quickly turned into a fan favorite here on campus.
And of course, we have Out of Pocket, which ends the night off with some controversy over the fans in Moby. Not to mention some more game picks. All of that and more on CTV Sports, which tips off right now. Sure, the snow on Saturday night might have rained out some action for CSU softball, but luckily for Ram fans, we play hoops indoors, which means that the weather didn't come close to doing the same thing for this insane atmosphere in Moby on Saturday night, where we saw yet another sellout crowd cheer on the green and gold in what was the final home game on the year, with CSU hosting Mountain West champion Boise State in a high-profile matchup of last month's OT battle. And obviously, with Moby's last go-around for a while comes the pregame festivities for Senior Day, where the madness began long before tip-off to celebrate the squad's 3 seniors, 4-year leaders of this program, Adam Thistlewood and Kendall Moore, and of course, newcomer Chandler Jacobs. And so, after all of that build-up, there was still a game left to be played. So let's get into it. In a match containing the Mountain West best 2 teams, things were predictably point for point and down to the wire, where, to be honest, a court storming in the event of a Rams victory was expected. And that's exactly what happened, with the green and gold ultimately coming away with it in a close one, 71-68, securing them the number 2 seed entering the fun down in Vegas later this week. And now back to breaking down exactly how they got away with the dub. Things were dominated by big runs for both sides early on, with CSU getting their scoring going with a 12-2 run and Boise doing well, a lot of the same, with a similar 10-0 spurt shortly after. And as shots seemed to drop for both sides and things kept getting closer and closer, Isaiah Stevens came through with the play the Rams really needed entering the half, making yet another buzzer beater from downtown to go into the locker room up 5 and give them a bit more separation. And the Rams didn't stop there either, jumping out to an 11-point lead early in the second. But as they seemingly always do, Boise never lost hope and always kept fighting. Not only tying it late in the game, but actually taking the lead twice with less than 3 minutes left on the clock. Ram fans were understandably biting their nails, myself included, and after a mistake on an inbounds pass with less than a minute left, with only 1 point lead, things weren't exactly looking good for the home team. But that all changed rather quickly when David Roddy came through with a strip of Boise's Marcus Shaver to give it right back to the green and gold, allowing them to make a few free throws and defend a final shot from BSU to secure a 3-point dub. And moving on to the stats side of things, CSU finished the game with an insane 54.9% shooting from the floor and 35.7% from around the arc. Now, normally that consistency would lead to a massive lead for the Rams, but their defense did let the Broncos drop a similar 52.9 field goal percentage, which surely kept them in this one. Like always, the Rams were led by David Roddy with 23 points, while Kendall Moore put in an impressive 19 in his swan song to Moby, and Isaiah Stevens chipped in for 12. So with all of that being said, I did just mention the green and gold seating down in Vegas. For more on what's going on down there, tune in tomorrow night for a complete rundown on what we believe here at CTV is a very winnable Mountain West tourney.
Yeah, I mean, Ella, excuse me, it's going to be interesting when you see it, right? Because CSU plays either Utah State or Air Force.
Right.
That has to happen first. And in my opinion, we kind of got bracket blessed. UNLV as well as Boise on the other side.
Setup, we got really, really lucky. It could have gone the complete opposite way, first round knockout. I mean, honestly.
Right.
But now looking at how that was set up and how lucky we got with that, I could see us winning this thing.
For sure, I do too. It's going to be super interesting to see if they can actually pull it out, though. And speaking of Mountain West tournaments, there's one going down right now in the same spot that the men will be in just a couple of days, and that, of course, is the women's side of things at the Thomas & Mack Center down in Vegas, where 6-seeded CSU took on 11-seeded San Jose State in their first-round matchup late last night. Now, as you expect from the seed difference in this one, things went pretty much according to plan for the Rams, almost doubling the points of the worst team in the Mountain West, and ultimately blowing out the San Jose Spartans by 39 points, with the final being 82-43 in favor of CSU. And when you look into the numbers a little bit, this performance by the Green and Gold was definitely because of their defense, which forced 14 turnovers and resulted in 11 critical points for the Rams. And moving past the stats, the individual leaders were more of the same for the CSU squad, with the deadly duo of Upe Atasu and McKenna Hofschild dominating once again against the lesser competition. Upe ended up topping the scoreboard with 17 points, and McKenna was right behind her with 16, not to mention dishing out 8 assists as well, And hey, the dub down in Vegas wasn't the only positive thing that came out of this one, with McKenna Hofschild making history for the Green and Gold, passing names like Becky Hammond and Ellen Nystrom to become number 1 on the all-time single-season assist chart with 187 and counting. Clearly, McKenna has cemented her legacy in the Rams' history, but the season goes on, and she'll need to keep performing at this level if the Rams want to make a deep run in the Mountain West tourney. Looking ahead, the Green and Gold have a quick turnaround from last night, playing once again in just a couple of hours at 9:30 against the number 3 seeded Wyoming Cowgirls, a squad they lost to just last week. So, can Upe and McKenna lead the Rams to a dub in their first actual challenge in the Mountain West tournament? Man, I sure hope so.
And now moving from the hardwood and onto the court, after a much-needed lengthy break for the Rams, they finally got things going again, taking the trip to Arizona over the weekend for a Sunday double dip against GCU and Arizona. So with the trip out west in this time of year, you might be wondering, how'd this happen and why did Grand Canyon State of all places? Well, CSU tennis head coach Miley Tran explained a little bit on how exactly they found themselves out in the desert in March, saying, "We only had GCU scheduled when I first came in, but I thought it would be worth making the trip to add another match. Thankfully, Arizona is a great ranked team, and I thought it would be a bonus to add them on, and they were happy to make the schedule work." And moving past scheduling and onto the action, the Rams started the long day yesterday out on fire, managing to take the combined match win with a final score of 4-2. Thanks to easy double wins from Sarka Riktarova and Summer Dalabona, not to mention a victory from the dynamic duo of Lucia Natal and Tracy Go. On the single side of things, the Rams took all 3 of their matches in straight sets, with Radka Bushkova's sweep ultimately deciding the team result. But even with this dominant moment at times, things weren't always clear for CSU, with dubs by the Lopes at the 2 spots, but luckily for Ram fans, numbers 4 and 6 went a little better, coming out at yet another decisive win for the visiting squad. And after that nice win, the Rams hopped back on the road to take on U of A down in Tucson, and even though they came out with a loss, it was clear from the get-go the Rams gave it their all against a difficult and I'll add ranked opponent, ultimately dropping things 3-4. After unfortunately dropping the doubles point, CSU was just a little bit mixed on their single results, with Bushkova, Dalabona, and Natal winning sets 2, 4, and 6, but at the end of the day, that doubles result is really what mattered. And that's ultimately costed the Rams the upset dub in this match. But hey, it's not all bad. They did take one of the best teams in the country down to the wire. So if I were a CSU fan, I'd be pretty happy. After this mixed trip out west, Rams tennis will now shift their focus to an in-state battle where they'll travel down south to Boulder to take on the Buffs for another away trip a week from Tuesday. Let's hope they can take the W and earn some bragging rights against CU.
And now back to some more hoops, but this time in the pros. The Denver Nuggets were back in action last night, facing off against the rapidly improving New Orleans Pelicans down in Ball Arena, and ultimately taking it in OT 138-130. And with that much scoring, wow, was this one a doozy. From tip, the Nuggets got off to a hot start, scoring 35 in the first quarter alone and holding the Pels to just 19. But in the second, things started to change, with the brand new duo of CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram waking up to cut the lead to just 5 at halftime. And after that, things got even worse for the Nugs, with the Pelicans taking a 10-point lead. That's right, a 10-point lead, which put them up big entering the fourth. Oh, and to make matters even worse, Coach Malone got his second tech of the night after a questionable traveling call, and that one was not a travel, resulting in his ejection and meaning assistant coach David Allerman had to take over for the rest of the way. And speaking of taking over, that's exactly what reigning MVP Nikola Jokic did in fourth quarter and overtime. Coming into this one, coming into the fourth, Nikola only had 16 points. And to put things into perspective, he ended with 46 when time had expired on the overtime clock. That's right, in the fourth quarter, Nikola scored 30 points by himself. Clearly, it was his show at the end of the day. It's just another mark on the long list of accolades that the Joker put up in a short time in the league. And clearly, with those numbers, he's making a clear push for his second MVP case in a row. And with that, Rams, it's time for a very quick break.
When we come back, Madeline sits down with a guy who's quickly become one of the fan favorites for Rams basketball. Stick with us after the break for an exclusive interview. You won't want to miss it.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. As you know, here on the Monday Night Sports Show, I love to break down how CSU sports are doing. And more specifically, it's been such a thrill this semester to break down how our amazing men's basketball team has been. This past week, I got to sit down with one of the players that's made one of the best seasons in CSU hoops history so interesting, Chandler Jacobs. So, Chandler, obviously, it doesn't seem like it with how well you're liked here and how you've just quickly become a fan favorite. But you're new to CSU. This is your first year.
Yeah.
It's your last year of eligibility, which is really unfortunate. But can you talk us through a little bit, like, how did you end up at CSU?
Yeah, so after my year ended last year at Dallas Baptist, the Division II I came from, I had a decision to make whether I was going to play professionally, whether I was going to return to DBU or go to Division I. And just after talking to my family, I decided that I wanted to go to Division I and get this opportunity because I really wanted to play in March Madness. That was a big thing for me. So, you know, I put my name in the transfer portal. I got an opportunity. A lot of schools hit me up. And then I think I originally committed to Texas Tech. And then the next morning I woke up and just felt like that's not where I needed to be. So I quickly decommitted and then hit up Colorado State. They were already recruiting me at the time. And then hit them up and like to come here.
Like, moving along from that, it's very interesting to see a player come in for just a single year and pretty much immediately become a fan favorite and like make an impact.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, and like talking to the people who have gone to the games, us as fans and us as like viewers, we definitely think you've made an impact here at CSU.
That's
but
cool.
do you believe that you have?
I definitely think I have. I think I made an impact in a multitude of ways. I think one, just like in terms of like with my teammates, and like I think the thing that I've always wanted to do is I've wanted to lead, but really just by example. And I think for me personally, I always want people to feel comfortable in their own skin. I want people to feel like you can be who you are and that's enough. That's always just, I love that, and like allowing people to feel seen. And I think that with me coming here and just like not being afraid to show my personality, not being afraid to, you know, dress or do whatever things I think are very core to me, it's given my teammates the confidence to do that even more so. And also I just feel like it's been refreshing. Because I think so often in life, you know, we're just pulled in so many different ways, and it's hard to find somebody who's authentically themselves. And I think that that's something that I love, that I've been able to do, and that I really take pride in being able to do, is just being myself in whatever room I'm in. And I think that that's the biggest impact that I think I've had, and that's the biggest impact that I've always wanted to have, coupled with just like loving people and caring for people, and, you know, doing little things like bringing, you know, Rebecca flowers, or interacting with the fans after games and taking pictures. And
no, you've done an incredible job, like interacting with fans and stuff. I remember it was one of like the first or second home games, and I always either like on the floor or in the front row, and I just like remembered like you would like go over for the high fives and you thanked like every single person for coming. And I was like that's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's crazy you remember that. That's so cool.
Well, I mean, I remembered it because it was special. And it was something that I don't think a lot of other, big athletes are doing. And that means so much to the fans.
I mean, the fans mean that much to us, It's crazy to me thinking about how could we not thank people for coming to watch us play a game that we've been playing since we were young. We would play for free. When people are coming, they're paying for tickets. They're taking time out of their day to come support us. Like, it's crazy to me to think that someone could ever have a big enough ego to like belittle someone who is literally supporting them. Like, that's just the craziest thing to me, because like they don't have to, So it's genuinely my honor to do things like that.
So from an outside perspective, it obviously seems like the team is really close and that you guys have bonded a lot. So like what caused that bond, and how much do you think that has led into the success that you guys have had this season?
I think that kind of that bond is conducive of like just the environment that we create in our locker room. Like, the thing that I loved about coming here was everybody is themselves. Like, and we just allow people to be ourselves. We accept people for however you are. Like, we don't judge you, as a locker room. And I think that creates unity, because you're not coming around trying to impress anyone. You're not coming around trying to be somebody you're not. You're just being yourself. And because we place such a value on that, it's easy for people to just naturally bond, because I think like there's an underlying realization that we all are all the same individuals. We go through the same things, but we just handle life differently. But life all throws us the same cards when you really think about it, the same core emotions and feelings. And I think that by us recognizing that subconsciously or consciously, we allow ourselves to give each other grace and just bond and grow closer. So I think that's one thing that's really helped with that. And yeah, we just have a great group of guys, like a really good group of just individuals and just people that are good-hearted people, and you just don't find that often.
I think this might be the question that I'm most excited to ask. Okay. But do you have any like superstitions or any like pre-game rituals?
I love this question.
Because I know, I know that just that's a huge part of athletics. Yes. And even like someone like me who wasn't who trained at somewhat of a high level, but not like a super high level. Yeah. I still had even little superstitions.
I love this question. Okay, I do, but I do. There's no but. So. There's a few things I like to do before games. So one thing is I love to put on an outfit, like a very nice outfit, just something that I feel like is very true to me. Because I feel like anything you do, if you do it authentically to yourself, the rest will take care of itself. So from the end of pregame meal or whatever the case may be, I'm immediately trying to feel as much like myself as possible. So before the game, I put on an outfit, probably something similar to this, just a nice outfit that I feel really comfortable and confident in. Take a shower, put some cologne on, smell good, feel good, all that kinds of stuff. So that's a superstition for me. And then the other thing is I love listening to R&B music, soul music, old music. I'm an old soul just at heart, and I love listening to music that just really grounds you. And I listen to a ton of R&B. That's what I listen to before every game. There's an artist by the name of Brent Faiyaz, my favorite artist ever. I will live and die by this man's music. And I listen to him. He has an album that I play to front to back in that order. Then I play a J. Cole album front to back in order. No skips, no shuffling, nothing. I just play it front to back. And that kind of reminds me of who I am and the things that are core to me. And then depending on the game, I'll end my playlist with a song that reminds me of my mother or my father or someone that I really love and care about, and it kind of reminds me that I'm enough, so I can come out here and just have fun, essentially. So that's my little superstitions.
So one final question.
Okay.
If you could give any advice to your younger self, what would you tell him?
I think I would tell my younger self to figure out what your core values are and stay true to those. I think that the moments of my life that I felt myself or I've made good decisions, even when my decision to come to CSU, I chose to come here because of the people. My previous decision to go to Texas Tech was because of its Big 12, all this, all this glamorous stuff. But after I reflected on it, I was that's not even you. That's not how you make decisions. Like, every good decision I've made in my life has been about the people that I'm going to be around. So I think that I would hope that I would learn that a lot earlier than I did, and just allow that to guide my decisions, because I think that that is the key. And whatever, I mean, for me, that's like people and just like love and all that kind of stuff. For someone else, it could be different, but whatever you feel like is most core to you, be as true that as possible, because you can't really go wrong from there.
Well, thank you so much for this interview. It was really awesome. I really enjoyed the time.
Of course, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. This was super fun for me. I love getting to show my little personality, so this was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It was so nice to be able to sit down with Chandler and learn more about how he's made such a big impact this year. And of course, a lot more about what he's into off the court. If you enjoyed these little snippets, you can find the full interview on our YouTube channel right after the show, as well as on the Collegian website at collegian.com. And sure, while I think that the crowd support at Moby for this team has been phenomenal this year, some of my co-anchors may not feel the same way. You can find out what Ella and Cam think about how Ram fans have been ending games as of late and out of pocket, which is coming up right after the break.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But, here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like, that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent like me.
What's up, Ram fans? Welcome back from the break, and yes, to some more Out of Pocket. You already know the drill, and I'm sure you all are dying to know that some of us here aren't the happiest with CSU basketball fans, so let's just get into it. So for the 3rd time this year, and for the 2nd straight home game, the student sections in Moby poured out onto the court to celebrate yet another massive win, I'll give them credit for that, for the Rams when they took down Boise State on Saturday. And sure, I get that it's really, really fun to rush the court. I mean, you don't have to ask me. I was there right behind David Roddy for his post-game interview. But come on, when does this just become too many times on the season? It's starting to make us look like bad fans. We should act like we are expecting to win, in my opinion. So what do you two think?
Yeah, I don't really know that I agree with you, to be honest. I think that especially after like what we have gone through as college students and just like in the past couple years, like we deserve the chance to do this. While I don't necessarily know that I agree that every single victory that CSU has stormed the court for was necessarily a victory that you should have stormed the court for. But, you know, like I don't even think that really at Boise, like it was necessary in the way that the game was won. But I think that like Saturday's court storm was much more symbolic than it was for the victory. I think that they were celebrating the season. I mean, you know, you guys saw that video of them hoisting Kendall Moore up as the crowd just screams, "I'm proud to be a CSU Ram." I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what makes it really fun. And that's what continues this like legacy that this team has been building. And so I think that I don't have an issue with it.
I do have a small issue with it. And for me, it's just because after you storm it twice, it just it ruins I wouldn't say it ruins it, but it lessens the effect of when you do it a 3rd time. That SDSU game, absolutely zero right to storm the court. CSU was up 20 going into the 2nd half and almost lost. That's not a game where you storm the court, because that's a game where you almost came back on. Terrible game to storm the court. So I believe that the Wyoming game, sure, do it to Wyoming. Wyoming did it to us when they beat us in Laramie, so we can do it back. And I'll say that the Boise State game, that's an acceptable one too. Last night, senior night, first in the Mountain West, you take them down. For me, the San Diego State game just kind of ruined it, though. Why are we storming the court when we almost lost up 20?
No, I completely agree with what Cam is saying. I think Saturday, we use the word symbolic. I think that's totally accurate for senior night and celebrating our team, not just the win. So I think that was really important, but SDSU, that one was unnecessary.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just think you guys kind of hate fun, but it's okay. Let's move on into our pick'em games for tonight. As the biggest CSU basketball fan I know, I have no idea why I put my faith in the Pokes to win last week against SDSU. But I did, and Cam smartly didn't. So things are all tied up once again. Oh well. My lead only lasted 1 week, kind of like how CSU's AP poll ranking only lasted 1 game. But hey, they're back in the top 25 this week at number 23. And just like they did, I know I will work my way back up to the top. And yeah, we don't even have to talk about Ella at this point. I'm in a nice mood, so I'll savor the embarrassment from reading her record out loud this week. So with all of that being said, up first this week is the matchup going on right after the show, where CSU women's basketball takes on the Pokes for the 3rd version of this year's border war down in Vegas. It's win or go home for these two teams. So let's talk about who we think is going to take it. So I know that I am CSU until the day I die. But I just think that in the history of the tournament for the women, they are bound to blow up soon. And I think they had a really good game against SJSU, but, it's San Jose State. And I am going to go with Wyoming. They came off a big win against San Diego State. I don't know.
Obviously I want CSU to win. That is clear. But for the women, especially an away game against Wyoming, I don't want to use the word choke, but I feel like it's proper here. So for that reason, I had to go with Wyoming also.
Wow, this is rare. I'm the only one picking CSU. I'm picking CSU, and let me tell you why. Wyoming isn't played in 5 days. Although you played San Jose State yesterday, scoring as much as they did, that's a pretty good warm-up.
Give them credit. They did.
That's a pretty good warm-up. McKenna Hofschild, Nupe Atasu on fire as always. Hey, and Kendall Kinzer has been looking phenomenal in these last couple games. I think CSU can do it.
Yeah.
And with that, let's get on to our last pick of the night. Men's Hoops is sitting pretty with that number 2 seed in that first round bye in the Mountain West Tournament, but they still have to play someone, and that will be the winner of the Utah State versus Air Force matchup on Wednesday. So who do you guys think will take this one in the quarterfinals? Who do you think the Rams will take on in the quarterfinals?
I mean, honestly, I don't even have to really give many reasons for this. Utah State.
Yeah.
Utah State is not a bad team, and Air Force is riding the line of bad. And so I don't know. And I also just want to see, Moore and Stewart have a great night against Utah State once again.
Because of how much game Utah State likes to talk, I would not mind seeing this upset and having it hurt my record a little more. But honestly, just with the odds, Utah State's going to win it, and that's why I had to take them.
Air Force is a football school. In football, they hide their faults by just running the ball every play because their quarterback can't throw more than 3 yards down the field. You can't do that in basketball.
Except against
you have to be able to score or play defense or run on a fast break or do anything, and Air Force has the capability to do none. I'm taking Utah State. Utah State is who the Rams will see. Unfortunately, in my opinion, in that round, because Utah State is a team that almost beat the Rams and can do it.
No, I completely agree. But Rams, that is all the sports news we've got for you tonight. Make sure to tune in for the news show tomorrow, where we will be making a special guest appearance to join Emily Kozel during sports. Until then, have a great night.